I get my sweet tooth satisfied by adult candy, and that's coffee. And the coffee that I'm brewing you today, I tasted for the first time 2nd of January 2012. And I remember that date because it was the first time I experienced coffee so acidic and so sweet, it made my mouth water almost like those childhood candies did. Luckily, I got a job at the Coffee Collective 2.5 years ago, and I've been able to brew this coffee every single day since. So that means hundreds of times, and to people of all sorts. So I know this coffee really well, but not because I have been at the farm, just as a barista, hungry to know the product I work with. And through our 6 years of business relations with the farm, we have a lot of understanding what happens on the farm level. So when I got highly curious of why this coffee stands out on the blind cupping tables year after year, the answer wasn't that hard to find. And sweetness is that answer. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Sweetness. But not the heavy, syrupy sweetness of a natural processed coffee, nor the balanced sweetness of a Central American. It's the fresh, vivid sweetness I'm all about. And I'm going to tell you the top 4 reasons why your cup will be tasting sweet today. So this coffee comes from Nyeri region in Kenya, and more specifically the Kieni wet mill. Kieni is a cooperative mill of 1,000 farmers, and the farmers grow SL28 and SL34 cherries on 1,800 meters, and they harvested end of November last year. And these farmers are motivated to be picking ripe cherries because they know that at the Kieni mill they get paid according to quality when the whole crop is sold. Ripe cherries, they have a higher sugar content, so they will result in a sweeter cup. Secondly, Kieni has a quality control step to have the farmers hand sort the cherries before they're accepted to the collection hopper. So this means that only ripe cherries get to be wash processed at Kieni. And as I work for a roastery, I have learned how big of a difference roasting has on sweetness. We roast on a lowering, and we start the roast by applying less energy at the beginning, and then go full on until the first crack. With the Kieni, we do a fully developed light roast that counts up to 11 minutes of roast time. Because in our test, this is where the coffee tastes brightest and sweetest in the cup. And I chose to use 16 days old roast because then my coffee has had enough time to degas. And all the flavors come so much more transparently through. So the 4th and the final reason why your coffee will be tasting sweet today, that is me. And for me, it's not enough to brew 1 great cup. Or 3. It needs to be an excellent cup each time and to each guest. So knowing Kieni, having a solid brew routine on Kalita, and knowing my water gives me an advantage to show this remarkable coffee to you today with only a small adjustment of what I do daily in the bar. So my recipe is 15 grams of coffee to 250 mils of water, and I start my brews with 30-second bloom. Then I continue pouring continuous circles all the way to 1 minute and 45 seconds. My total brew time is 2 minutes and 35 seconds. And I chose to brew on the Kalita because of consistency. It has a great geometric shape that allows the water to go evenly through the bed of coffee. That results in a better extraction, which results to sweetness. And I chose to brew one coffee at a time, because this way I get to gently agitate the coffee bed the whole pour time, which results in a more even extractions between my coffees. And I'm using these flow restrictors you can see on the board in my kettles to slow down the water flow. That gives me a more steady pour and a more controlled agitation. And water, that has been a hot topic lately, and I like mine at 96 degrees. I'm using an RO water with a low ppm and a low carbonate ion content, because this lowers the bitterness of my brew and lets all the amazing flavors to shine. It's a water that I know really well, because it's what we use every day in the bar. So actually, the only thing I've changed from my everyday bar workflow is that I sieved off the fines from the grounds. With removing them, I have less bitterness, because the fines don't get to over-extract. So are you ready to hear how Kieni tastes today? Cool. So, aroma. You can find red apples and caramel, hints of blackberries. When the flavor is hot, you can find red apples, cranberries, and when the coffee cools down, you will have the cranberries with red currants. The aftertaste is subtle, mouth-watering, and with light tannins. It's just like biting a fresh cranberry, so sweet acidic in the beginning, slightly tannic in the end. The acidity of the coffee is high, but it's moderate. It's like malic acidity, which you would find in a pear. When the coffee is hot, it's very juicy, and when the coffee cools down, it gets more pronounced. The coffee has a light and candy-like body. It's smooth when the coffee is hot and gets a silky touch on your tongue when it cools down. Even though the coffee has a high acidity, the high sweetness complements an acidity, creating a pleasant and harmonious cup experience. So this coffee, it has come a long way, and it has touched many pairs of hands, including mine, to be tasting amazing here today. quality coffee does not come easy and it does not come cheap. And I chose to speak about sweetness today because it's a flavor so crucial to coffee and so complex to achieve. And sweetness, that is nothing but one-dimensional without acidity. And it's that amazing combination that makes Kieni remarkable. I hope you will enjoy it like I do. Thank you. Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mikaela Wallgren, the Brewers champion of Finland.
On the second.
You found some water.
Yes.
Water's good.
Coffee's better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how do you feel right now?
I feel amazing, awesome, great.
You were able to do everything you wanted to do?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to remember, is your first year competing?
Second, yeah.
Second year competing.
Yeah.
So when you're preparing for Brewers Cup, so where did this year for you, where was your focus? Was it more on the coffee, the brewing method, the roasts?
So the coffee I've known for the whole time I worked at the Coffee Collective, so 2.5 years. So I feel very confident with that coffee because I've tasted it from year to year and roast to roast. So I know what it can offer.
So this is the coffee you serve in the shops?
Yes,
not just the
and I
coffee.
know that a lot of my friends are drinking it right now back in Copenhagen. So go Kieni. But this year I really wanted to focus on presentation because that's been the harder part for me.
Yeah.
How to feel confident in front of all these people and in front of judges and have a pause and not just go crazy.
When it comes to coffee, sometimes it seems like there's so many things to talk about that other times, like, what am I going to talk about? You're really focused on sweetness.
Yeah, because that's what I always look for when I'm drinking a cup of coffee. It needs to have sweetness. There's different levels of it, but it needs to have sweetness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.